Hello everybody, my name is Jack and welcome back to my universe. Today we're playing something a little bit different. I was going to play something else, but it was a little bit too laggy to record, so I thought I'd go to this. It's called A Dark Room. It's a little text-based game, and although it's not as visually pleasing as other games that I will play, it's a very well-made game. It's very interesting, it's very well laid out, and it's very hard to progress further. So each time you play it more strategically, and you end up going a little bit further. But I haven't really gotten that far in it before, even though I've been playing it for a few years now. It's not a new game by any means, it's quite old. But let's just get straight into it. You start off as it's just in a dark room. The fire is dead, the room is freezing, so you light the fire. The light from the fire spills from the window out into the dark. The fire is burning, and then you can stoke the fire, and the fire is roaring now. And this is pretty much the start. You just stoke the fire. The room is cold, but the fire is roaring. So you just keep stoking the fire. It carries on roaring, and you just keep going until this happens. A ragged stranger stumbles through the door and collapses in the corner. The fire is roaring. And this, I can't remember how exactly I found it. Oh, here we go. Through the walls, shuffling noises can be heard. Can't tell what they're up to, so we can either investigate or ignore them. And this is pretty much what the game is about. It gives you these random options sometimes. There's no time base, so it's fine. But you can choose between up to 3 options, I think, and they all have different consequences, and they won't be the same each time. So you can't say, well, I've now got this, I know what it's going to do. Because it changes each time. There's different outcomes every time. So I'm going to investigate these. A bundle of sticks lies just beyond the threshold, wrapped in coarse furs. The night is silent. Go back. So you can see we gained a lot of wood and some fur, so we can stoke fire. The stranger shivers and mumbles quietly. Her words are unintelligible. That's because the room is warming up. So it went from cold to mild to warm. We're staking. There's a silent forest now where we can gather wood, and that gives us 10 wood, and then it has a cooldown period. And then we get more options here, we get more options in the room, and it progresses like that. There you go, the room is hot. The stranger in the corner stops shivering. Her breathing calms. The fire is roaring. And this is what I like about it. It's very simple. It's all there. There's no distractions anywhere. They haven't relied on all of these like special effects or anything. It's just pure gameplay, pure story based. The stranger is standing by the fire. She says she can help. Says she builds things. Builder says she can make traps to catch any creatures might still be alive up there. Builder says she can make a cart for carrying wood. Builder says there are more wanderers. Says they'll work too. The fire is roaring. So now we can see that the stoking the fire costs wood, and that's because now we have resource management. And so I'm going to build a cart, and since we found the pile of sticks, we can actually make a trap as well, or 3. And what that's going to do is we can check traps. The traps contain scraps of fur, and they can also include bait or meat. Can gather wood, and because we bought the cart, that should now give us 20 or so. So go and stoke the fire again. And a hut costs 100. And when we build a hut, then a silent forest becomes a small village, I do believe it's at first. And you can see here that we have a population of 0 out of 0, and then the max population will go up. Some people will arrive. We can then start putting them to work, so they can then become trappers, or they can gather wood and such. So I'm just going to gather some wood until I get to 100. Okay, so you can see another one has come up. It says some of the traps have been torn apart. Large prints lead away into the forest. So we can track them or ignore them. I'm going to trap them this time. Not far from the village lies a large beast, its fur matted with blood. It puts up little restraint before the knife. Go home, and you can see we've now got 100 meat, and we've got some more fur. 100 more fur, actually, that was quite a lot of fur. So, gather wood. We now have well enough wood to create a hut. You can see now we also can build a lodge, which I don't think was an option when I last played, but that doesn't matter. So now you can see we have a potential population of 4, and so what this means is we can now have 4 people. They'll just randomly turn up, and you'll see that we can then assign them jobs and such, so that they can collect resources with it for us, because that's ultimately what this is about, is collecting resources. So you can see here the lodge costs 200 wood, 10 fur, 5 meat, and that's what this is about, is cost management as well. Now you've got to, there you go, a weathered family takes up in one of the huts. So now we've got 2 gatherer, and they will give us 2 wood per 10 seconds, not each, that's between them, so 1 wood per 10 seconds per gatherer. But we can still manually collect wood, it doesn't affect that option. And a lot of the game is just waiting, relaxing, and just taking it easy. But then later on, it gets a bit more. We begin to start to go on quests, so go out and into the wilderness, go into caves, go into abandoned houses, and they present monsters, they present other people that we have to interact with. We can find salesmen, we get outposts where we can collect more resources, and yeah, you basically just go out to find resources and to find new places to go to. When you when you go to these new places, then you get more options, so you can fight, and you can make like swords and such, and so a little straight before the knife, and you can see we've got another 100 meat and another 100 fur, which is good. But yeah, you can build like torches. You have to eat while you're out there, so you have to make what's called a smokery, and then you can smoke your meats, so that then you can eat the cured meat while you're traveling. And that's another management that you have to do. You have to manage how much meat you've got, how much you want to take, because you can only carry so much when you're going out on an adventure. So we've got 240 wood, so we should be able to build a lodge quite easily. So we'll build that. A hunting lodge stands in the forest a ways out of town. And so you can see now we have hunters and trappers. So we can assign people to be hunters, and if we assign one person to be a hunter, we'll get 1 fur and 1 meat every 20 seconds. So we can assign 2, we get 1 every 10 seconds. Trapper, we can assign 1. We will lose 1 meat, but we will gain a bait. And we don't need bait for now, so we won't do that. But I don't think, anyway, I could be confused. Like I said, I haven't played for a little while, so I will actually assign 1 person. But as you can see, our gatherers are going down, and that's because we have 4 people, so we can assign 4 different jobs. So we've done 2 hunters, 1 gatherer, and 1 trapper. And you can see we've got 1 bait, and if now that I'm thinking about it, I believe that bait then goes into the traps, which make them more efficient, which means that we can get more fur, we can get more meat from them. And trading posts, so 400 wood and 100 fur. We do actually have well enough fur, just because we successfully tracked those animals that tore up the traps, but it does mean that we don't have that many traps, so I'm just going to build some more. So I'll come back when we have something to do. So I wasn't recording it, but the option came again where the traps had been torn apart. There was large footprints, and what happened instead is that we followed the trail and nothing happened, and so we didn't get any meat or fur. We just lost our traps. Now another option for that, I do believe, is that you go and they put up too much of a fight, so the beasts escape and you lose a certain amount of people from your population. And so that's another resource that you have to control, is how many people you have, because obviously if you lose people, then you have to wait for more people to come take residence in your lodges, or in your huts, sorry, so that you can then assign them to jobs. So that becomes a bit of a problem, because you can also have fires. So the bigger your village is, the more likely you are to have a fire. And fires obviously mean that you then lose your huts. So you can see here it says a lonely hut. So then if I add another one, it'll become a small village. If I add more, it'll become a flourishing village or a modest village, then a successful village and such. I don't know what comes after like a large village, because at that point there's fires all the time, so you end up losing your huts before you can build another one, and each time you build one it becomes more expensive. So you can see they're now 150 wood, whereas before it was 100. So yeah, again I'll come back to you if anything interesting happens. Okay, so you can see that now we've added another hut. Our population has gone up to 4 out of 8, and it's turned into a tiny village. So again, this just means we can have 4 more people, which then when they enter the huts, we can assign them to a job. Also, tanneries become available, which obviously converts fur into leather, which I believe we can then use for armor to go out questing and such. So that's about it for now. I'll see you in a bit. Oh, so a wanderer arrives with an empty cart. Says if she leaves with fur, she'll bring back more. Builder's not sure she's to be trusted. Now, obviously, the 2 options in here is that you give her 100, turn her away, because we don't have 500 fur. So that's not an option. So if we give her 100, she could come back in future with more fur, like she says, or she can just take our 100 fur and never come back. But if we turn her away, then we know that we won't lose any fur, but we won't gain any. So I've got a fair amount of fur, so I'm going to give her 100. The wanderer leaves cart loaded with fur. And in real life, I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, no, sorry. But yeah. So she could either come back with fur, or she could just take our fur and leave. But those the 2 options. That's just an example of something else that could happen. So again, I'll be back if something happens. Almost to the trading post. Some of the traps have been torn apart. Large prints lead away into the forest. The tracks disappear after just a few minutes. The forest is silent. Okay, so we have enough for a trading post, because we have well over 100 fur. We actually have 475 fur, which is, I don't know if the old lady came back, or because I just had a quest where the traps were torn apart, but they disappeared, so I don't know why we have so much fur. Anyway, so trading post we're going to build. So now the nomads have a place to set up shop. They might stick around for a while. So now you see we can buy scales, we can buy teeth, and we can buy a compass. And what I believe the compass will do is the compass will then allow us to access the quests. So once we have a compass, then we can go out exploring. And that'll be an interesting little mechanic to show. So you can also see that Smokehouse has now become available, which once we do, we are able to go exploring. We will need that so that we can take meat and go on longer adventures. And then I'm pretty sure we also have water usage that we need to look out for. So that'll be pretty interesting. Why? Oh yeah, because our traps have been torn apart. So you can see now the traps have gone back to 10 wood because we don't have any. So I'm just going to buy 4 check traps, and yeah. So we should actually be able to get. Oh no, because we need 20 scales. We have 4, and we need 10 teeth, which we have 22. So we need 16 more scales. I don't know how much this buys you, but we need more fur anyway, so we won't use that. So yeah, again, I'll be back if anything interesting happens. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for this episode. If you want more, do tell me, if there is anyone watching this anyway. If you have watched through the whole thing, you're a champion, and I thank you very much for putting up with me for this long. Do leave a comment, consider subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.